Hi guys and welcome to KeebWorks. Today I'll be taking a look at a relatively unknown switch, the Greetech Blue. Let's get started. Now I mention that because I have never seen anyone talk about this switch anywhere. In fact, the whole Greetech lineup seems to be non-existent in people's minds, but that's besides the point. Anyway, these switches are clicky and are a clone of the Cherry MX Blue. Also, this is the RGB variant, but you can get them cased in black housing if you so wish. And this is what they look like disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch categories. On-center key presses are relatively smooth, but you can feel hints of scratchiness throughout the travel. Off-center key presses are scratchier than the MX Blues, but they aren't too different. And just as a reminder, I tested the non-RGB version of the MX Blue in the Razer Black Widow, so that might be why. Still, the switch gets a 4 out of 10. No surprises here. Weighting is light with a 53 gram peak tactile bump, a 41 gram actuation at 1.8mm, and a 62 gram bottom out force. Here it is compared to the MX Blue, and as you can see they are quite similar, with the difference being the MX Blue having a heavier bump and a slightly heavier actuation at 2.2mm. It's also worth noting that the Greetech switch has a less overall travel at 3.7mm as opposed to 4mm. But I didn't notice this during the testing period or even in a side-to-side comparison. I personally don't like this weighting, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10, but if you like MX Blues, this could be a decent alternative. Now regarding sound, I don't like it. I don't hate it per se, but I dislike these. For some reason they thought the MX Blue wasn't loud and high pitched enough, so they made these even louder and even more high pitched. Additionally, they also make this very plasticky and rattly sound, which I dislike even more. This for me is my least favorite aspect of the switch. I'll give them a 4 out of 10, because they aren't horrible to listen to, it's just that I happen to dislike them quite a bit. Now, for the typing demo. Enjoy. So, typing on these was actually quite pleasant. It's not a bad switch, and I can see someone choosing this over an MX Blue, even though they are virtually the same. But at the end of the day, it's still a nice switch to type on, if you can tolerate the racket that it puts out. 6 out of 10, not bad. As a switch for gaming, I suggest looking elsewhere. Now, it does have a shorter travel and less hysteresis than the MX Blue according to the force curves. But these switches can become very distracting in many games because of its high-pitched nature. This point applies even more towards stealth games, and yes, even with headphones on, you can hear the switch click away in the background. For reference, I use the Bose QC35-2s for gaming. I know, it's a bit weird, but they are nice noise cancelling headphones, yet you can still hear these switches click away in the background. Another point is that the switches aren't really that smooth anyway, so why bother? I suggest looking into the KeebWorks whites instead. I'll give these a 4 out of 10, but if they weren't so high pitched, it would be a point or so higher. In conclusion, these are cheaper and higher pitched MX Blues. There really is nothing noteworthy about this switch. Now you can see why no one really talks about it. The final score for this switch is 23 out of 50 or 46%. It's below average, but not too far from the MX Blue. Next time, I'll be reviewing a somewhat underwhelming clicky switch again. Until then, take care and goodbye.